We don't work here, lady, we're just trying to eat. So, for my family friend's 16th birthday, we went to see Alfred Ellis play at an open garden concert. It was a casual picnic-style affair, but due to certain members of the five families being extremely culinary, it turned into a buffet. To the point we needed tables, which we brought. During the first intermission, the 10 teenagers were ready to descend on the food like wild animals, but we were raised better than our instincts, so we each grabbed a plate and lined up. We then realized that we had a longer line than expected. About 30 people had lined up behind us. The sweet little old lady behind me asked where the till was, so we had to explain to people that it was a private meal for someone's birthday. Most were very understanding, and were given a plate of what we had not touched later, but one woman decided that because we had set it up the way we had, that we were wait staff, we were liars, and we would be comping her food for the trauma she had suffered. We were middle-class white kids in Somerset in the early 2000s. You could not get both sadder and more diverse in clothing. We did not look like waitstaff. If she had called us vagrants, hippies, or gangsters, she may have been closer. During her rant, a strawberry landed on her hat. She didn't notice. But we sure did. So now she had something to scream about, as we were laughing at her for no reason. How dare we very much. Then another strawberry hit her hard enough for her to notice. She looked up, and a raspberry got her in the chin folds. Unfortunately for her, the emotional infants of the group, two of the dads, mine included, had decided that the pile of strawberries and raspberries for pudding could be sacrificed in order to put her in her place. It took a few tries for her to get it, but every time she opened her maw to carry on, they would chuck a strawberry at her. She left when we all moved to join in. Best part, we spotted her far away, over-gesturing at what was clearly a manager. He gave the excellent response of, "What do you expect me to do about it?" shrug. He didn't come over. I also got to meet Alfred Ellis when he became a doctorate at my university some years later. My friend was extremely jealous. Not an IT guy, but a nerd that loved Linux. Sorry for the awful writing, but a cell phone is a cell phone after all. So my mother works in a physics laboratory. It means that I'm really involved in science, but specifically in computers. And I love to help this kind of places, because in science, the money is not enough and hiring a cleaning company is expensive. This happened like 1 month ago. When the laboratory reactivated its activities and the COVID was no longer a problem. I was helping with the hard job, cleaning, taking out the trash, yada yada. So when I was carrying a broken screen to the garbage, I noticed that a lot of investigators were trying to set up a server using Linux. FYI, Linux is very common in servers, because it's far better than using Microsoft services. Now, they were not software engineers and using Linux was not their main skill. I go inside and tell the investigators what to do and what commands to use. When I finish helping them, I return to my duties as a cleaning volunteer. 30 minutes later, there was a lady with a coat looking for me in the IT department. I could only remember her face when she discovered that a cleaning volunteer set up a server. It was pure shame and envy. Guess her ego was really fragile? No. I can do it. You are just a janitor. 15 minutes later, another investigator was looking for me in IT. Again, he was surprised but he didn't mind. And just asked me to deploy something. I did, and swear that the rage of that investigator was going higher and higher. You finished? Now leave. People used to say thanks, but okay. I just have a question. Why they not ask for someone in the IT department? No lady, not mall cop, actual cop. Okay, so slightly disingenuous title as I'm English and we don't have mall cops, just regular security guards. Also on mobile, so forgive me. In a former life, a few years ago now, I was a police officer here in good old England. I moved from a team dealing with action-packed 999 calls, speeding around in old Ford Focuses, or is that Focusy? And dealing with interesting things to working in a team that supported a large shopping complex, shoplifting, antisocial behavior, real hard-hitting stuff. The uniform was a white shirt, black tie, and if I was out and about, a stab vest over the top, with one of the big pointy hats too. If I was on a break though, I'd just put my normal jacket on to cover my shoulder numbers. This was mainly for personal security, so to a casual observer, I was just a bloke in a white shirt with a black tie. Cue the moment. I'd just finished dealing with the paperwork from a shoplifting, and had a hankering for a sandwich. I locked my vest and hat away, but left my belt of tools, can of spray, cuffs, and metal stick, England again. I popped a plain black jacket over the top, and ventured into the shopping complex in search of a foot-long sandwich specified and acquired. I paid the well-known outlet and ambled to a seating area to mind my own business and chow down. Probably no less than 5 minutes later, I clock a woman, the usual type, attempting to buy a sandwich. Now from her big arm gestures, I skillfully deduced she wasn't happy. That's not a crime. So back to my sandwich I went, until of course, the voices became raised and a hand was slammed on the counter. I tucked the remnants of my sandwich in the bin and ambled over to see what the commotion was. Now working in the team I was a known face in the center, and I enjoy a long sandwich, so the staff knew me and my job, so they relaxed a little, which really irritated the woman. I quickly realized they didn't have the filling she wanted, and she was refusing to take no for an answer. Me. Is everything alright here? The woman turns and eyes me over. Now I'm in my early 20s at the time, so she makes me for a security guard. Karen, F's sake. I don't need security. This little S won't make my effing sandwich. Me. Okay. Firstly, you need to stop swearing. Secondly, I'm a level up from security. She didn't like this. Karen. Oh, piss off, I just want my sandwich. She ignores me and goes back to banging her hand on the desk and gesturing wildly at the team behind the counter. Me. You need to stop that. She rounds on me again. Karen, I said piss off. I know the management here, so F off back to standing around outside Debenhams, or I'll get you sacked. Me. I don't care, I'm warning you that you need to stop swearing. It's a public order offense. Karen. Or what? I just want my effing sandwich, not some jumped up plastic policeman interfering. F off. Me. Stop swearing. You're causing a scene, and stop hitting that counter, or you'll be arrested. Karen. Don't effing tell me what to do. Think you're Billy Bigby? Just a wannabe cop. You can't arrest me. Get me your boss now too. She was slamming her palms on the sneeze guard with each word, and I think I'd been patient enough at that point, so I unzip my jacket to reveal I am in fact a uniformed police constable. Her eyes widen as she sees the cuffs on my belt. Me. Nope, I'm arresting you under Section 5 of the Public Order Act. The arrest is necessary to prevent injury to others and damage to property. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defense, etc. Now, I had no intention of cuffing her. I was twice her size, so not necessary. Instead, I steered her, spluttering to a table and sat her down as I called for a car to pick us up. After another 30 minutes of her refusing to believe she'd done anything wrong, I eventually gave her a penalty notice to dispose of the matter, so her non-sandwich swear fest ended up costing her £80 instead. This is what happens when you work retail too long. First off, standard on mobile warning here. It's a long one, so get ready. A long time ago, I used to work in an educational toy store in my local mall. After it closed down, I had to find new places to shop for the kids in my life. I had gotten a nephew of mine started on a scale with Thomas the Train toy line, when someone I knew told me Barnes & Noble had started carrying the line. So I decided to swing by to see what new pieces had come out for the holidays. Once there, I start looking and overhear two women talking about if they should getting their kids started, because both kids love Thomas the Train. Before I could stop myself, I had introduced myself, and when I mentioned the store I had worked at, they both lit up, suddenly remembering they had seen me there. Now they're asking questions, and I'm giving advice. About the time they are done, more people have started asking me questions. Before I know it, I have been standing in about the same spot for more than an hour just selling the heck out of these trains. When the crowd finally dispersed, I make sure I have the two pieces I wanted, and start to head to the register, only to find the department manager, the store manager standing there, along with the girl actually working the kids section staring at me. To make this faster, let's call store manager SM, department manager DM, the employee E, and me as obvious. At that point, realizing the spectacle I had unintentionally created, I walked over expecting to apologize, only to have the SM starts talking before me. SM, do you realize how much of that stuff you sold? Me, so that guy did buy the roundhouse set? So you know that set was, at the time, their biggest set and cost $500. SM, actually, yes he did, but I'm talking about more than that. You have sold more Thomas the Train items than we have ever sold. Unable to stop myself, I replied, me, well you haven't carried the line that long. Once your people learn more about it, I'm sure you'll have better numbers. SM, do you want a job as assistant manager in this department? DM. More than half those people thought you already worked here. They wanted you to get a raise.
E. I don't understand how you knew all that.
I could barely follow half of it. Me, thanks. How much would it pay? Okay, this got away from me, so let's try for a quick finish. I turned down the job. It was offering less money than my job, at the time. I ended up being given the employee discount on the 2 pieces I wanted, as a thank you. For about 2 years, every time I went into that Barnes & Noble, I would see one of the managers from that day, and they would ask me if I needed any more train items. Sorry it was a long one, but I hoped you enjoyed it.